I'm Yogesh. I run XYXX. It's a new age men's inner and loungewear brand. I run it out of Bombay. Excited to talk to you guys.
Innerwear is no longer Andar Ki Baat, as this is apparent from the fact that D2C brands selling innerwear are attracting amazing investor interest and customer love. In this episode, your host Akshay Dutt is talking with Yogesh Kabra, the founder of the D2C innerwear startup XYXX. XYXX is among the most well-funded innerwear startups, having raised more than $30 million till date from a whole host of amazing investors. In this conversation, Yogesh talks about the market opportunity in the innerwear space, his journey of building XYXX, and the long-term vision he is chasing. Stay tuned and follow the Founder Thesis podcast on any audio streaming app to build your inner strength and learn from the best.
I was working there. मैं काम कर रहा था. I was working there for a while, and I was also helping one of my cousins, and in that entire process of being in the US, etc., I figured that the best founders there were focused on solving a consumer problem. And मैं समझ गया, I think cohort of people I was hanging out with extremely successful were solving a consumer problem. Most of them were using technology to solve it. Not all. A lot of them were creating categories, non-tech, but यार वो कुछ solve कर रहे थे. And that approach stuck to me कि यार ये कुछ solve करने से value creation होती है, which therefore assists disproportionate growth. And I was never worried about, I don't know, belief, probably because it comes out of my relationship with my father, but I always knew कि कहीं पे भी रहूंगा, I don't have to worry about a successful outcome. वो कहीं पे भी रहेंगे, कुछ ना कुछ तो निकाल ही लेंगे. That was the approach to it. There was nothing to lose in the way I approached.
Tell me about your journey of finding a problem to solve. Well, you realize in the US that you need to find a problem to solve. So tell me that journey.
So by the way, at 24, I had a job that used to pay extremely well. I didn't have a student loan to pay. And I was in the US, right? Now imagine I was living a very good life, but I somehow could not visualize myself solving anything meaningful there क्योंकि मैं उधर की प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं समझ पाता. I grew up in Tedu, India. My schooling till 6-7 standard happened in a school which was almost Hindi medium because my dad was still scaling up. So it was a journey step by step only. और वहां से जब you've made that journey, you realize कि यार हमारी प्रॉब्लम ही बहुत अलग है. We've grown up in a very different sort of world altogether और उधर की प्रॉब्लम समझ ही नहीं आ रही मुझे. So when I say प्रॉब्लम समझ नहीं आ रही, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि एडजस्ट नहीं कर पा रहा. I mean, all that was fine. To get that disproportionate value ना, वो मुझे नहीं समझ आ रही थी. And I said कि यार इंडिया जाएंगे. And because I mean, I took a very immediate decision. चलो यार वापस चलते हैं. Because I always worried कि यार मैं जो काम कर रहा हूँ उसमें अच्छा हूँ US में. And if I continue doing that, the money is so attractive that you will never have the courage to leave that money and that lifestyle to go back. तो मैंने बोला बस ये तो या तो होगा या तो नहीं होगा. It's you have to jump. And I jumped. And luckily I didn't have to worry about a job because I was working in my family business earlier. So I said कुछ नहीं जाके वो वापस से I mean अभी let me resume that. And I also understood that because I want to find a problem doesn't mean the problem will find me.
Okay.
So I said, yeah, natural. I mean, let me live my life. I have a job. Problem दिखेगी तो अपने आप दिमाग काम करता है. And when you're 24, 25, boss, दिन में 5 आइडिया आते थे. right? And I used to reject all of them. कि नहीं नहीं real problem नहीं है, etc. And then I happened. अब यार आ गया था 4-6 महीने में I went to buy undies and the experience was I couldn't really figure कि ये कैटेगरी में चल क्या रहा है. मतलब इंडियन कंज्यूमर चॉइसेस आर diverse by nature. इधर हो रहा था कि मैं शॉफर और बैक सीट पे बैठे हुए सेठ जी were wearing the same brand. It doesn't happen in any other category. By the way, shirts very different. Madura Garments has 4 brands selling shirt: Allen Solly, Peter England, Van Heusen, and Louis Phillips. 4 different sort of cohort of consumers. एक कॉलेज वाला, एक फर्स्ट जॉब, एक प्रमोशन और एक सीए. ये चारों के लिए 4 ब्रांड बने हुए. And in innerwear, it was one brand that in this 200 to 400 rupee price point that was dominating, and I was in disbelief. मैं बोला यार ऐसा, because consumer choices अलग होती. The guy driving versus the guy sitting on the back versus both their kids will have different palette, will have different paying propensity, will approach the category very different. वैसा हो नहीं रहा था. एंड आई थॉट देयर इज अ वेरी बिग अपॉर्चुनिटी टू क्रिएट डिफरेंट. थकी हुई कैटेगरी थी बॉस. मतलब 15 साल पहले इसमें रियल इनोवेशन हुआ था. व्हेन दे एडेड स्ट्रेच टू द फैब्रिक, उसके बाद कोई इनोवेशन ही नहीं हुआ. एंड आई एम कमिंग फ्रॉम टेक्सटाइल, आई मीन, एंड देन आई रियलाइज्ड कि मैं कुछ अलग कर सकता हूँ क्या ये कैटेगरी. सो दिस वाज जस्ट द फर्स्ट पार्ट, राइट. तो मेरे को नींद नहीं आती थी. फिर मैं सोचता था यार हाउ कैन दिस बी, ये कुछ तो है. एंड देन आई वाज प्रीटी कन्विंस्ड दैट यार कैटेगरी में तो जगह है. एंड दैट पॉइंट लकीली सम ऑफ द ई-कॉमर्स players had taken off in a big way. So I got the courage that I can make inexpensive mistakes. मतलब the thesis of e-com was you don't need a lot of mal, you don't need a lot of team, you can reach to consumer directly. And नहीं चल रहा तो पता चल जाएगा. You can fail fast and cheaper. And I said क्या fail होंगे, देखते हैं. And again, and by the way, that's also extremely different in the US. People approached failure very different. तो लोग बोलते हैं ना, मतलब so these are the learnings that I had from my MBA more than the strategy etc. आधी चीजें तो यार बकवासी होती, but you learn how that country or how that cohort of people approach. शेम अपनी इंडिया में तो अब चालू हुआ है. एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली ना यार वो लिंक्डइन पे सब मोर देन रिक्वायर्ड ज्ञान दे देते हैं around failing, but still the mindset around failing in India is not mature because of our social sort of thread, right? We are conservative, our parents are conservative. So मम्मी पापा क्या करते हैं बस, वो ऑप्टिमाइज करते हैं कि बच्चा कभी फेल ना हो. इंजीनियर बन जाओ, नौकरी कर लो. And they're coming from a good place. It's not, they want a secured life. Because most people don't have enough savings, and therefore the boss ये नीचे नहीं जाए कभी. He should have enough to have a decent life is what our parents were optimized. Versus the US is very good. High reward.
Yeah.
We have this high reward, and yeah, failure को I see that increasing in India, but US was much better even then. मैं 8-9 साल पहले की बात कर रहा हूँ. Again, something I learned there, extremely insightful couple of years there. Right to win discover करना है, क्योंकि मुझे एक और चीज, I was very clear that the consumer will not switch. क्योंकि it's not, honestly, you might not be wearing XYX underwear, but you're not jumping out of your chair saying कि uncomfortable. So what we are offering is basically a massive upgrade to your existing experience. That doesn't mean you have a problem with your existing experience. So then we said that massive upgrade has to be very clear कि value prop क्या है, and has to be at the right price, because per capita is lower than Bangladesh. I don't know, अभी recently साल भर पहले तक तो लोग. So to build a large business in this country, you had to be available at the right price points. So that's the fallacy of building consumer brands in India. Is we saw most founders come from a very different background, and therefore they try to build for the background they come from. वो वाली audience के लिए, which is very small market. So I was very clear कि बड़ा तो वाला problem solve करेंगे. Make a product that has a clear right to win in the category. And therefore, when you put my product and someone else's product, I mean the category leader's product, आप इन दोनों में डिसीजन बहुत आसानी से ले पाओ कि यार ये सेम प्राइस का बट ये मच बेटर है, ये ले लो. एंड ऑनेस्टली दैट्स व्हाट इज वर्क फॉर अस.
So how did you create the product? Matlab, did you work with some contract manufacturers, and what did you do to make it better?
Yeah, initially, I mean, there was, आज से 10 साल पहले ना एक नई, so historically there are two types of fabric. एक फैब्रिक है जो पेट्रोकेमिकल बाय प्रोडक्ट, विच इज प्लास्ट, नायलॉन, पॉलिएस्टर, है ना. दूसरा है जो उगता नेचुरल, विच इज कॉटन, सेल. And then there is a third generation of fiber called cellulosic fibers. Now, this cellulosic is fairly new to the world. It's much more advanced in terms of technology. It uses plant protein to make fibers, which are eventually converted into fabric. Natural.
What's an example of cellulose?
Modal. Linen.
Okay.
Linen is more common.
ये hemp की भी clothes
अलग-अलग पेड़ के अलग-अलग पार्ट से निकलते हैं.
Hemp की भी bags में.
Hemp is like linen. तो आज से 10, the product that we made was 3 times softer than cotton, was naturally more moisture absorbing, which what does it mean? That अगर आपने हाँ, so अगर आपने समझो 10 ml पानी डाला तो कॉटन 9 ml ऑब्जॉर्ब करेगा, मोडाल 10 ml करेगा, पोलिएस्टर करेगा ही नहीं, मतलब 1 ml करेगा, नायलॉन बिल्कुल भी नहीं करेगा. सो दैट अब क्या बस naturally antibacterial, more moisture absorbent, and 3 times softer. 3. So the first use case for this fabric was baby diapers. वो जो महंगे महंगे जर्मन जापानीज डायपर आते थे 10-15 साल पहले, जो आपके यूएस वाले कजिन लेके आते थे, आप बोलते थे, those were the first use case. Second was sanitary pads. Again, softer, more absorbent, etc. And I was monitoring this fiber for a very long time, and I found it innerwear perfect. And that's how I came to this. Yeah, initially, I used to call technicians from Austria. They used to come sit with me at the OEM. And then we built a supply chain around it. But that again comes from my passion of textile. I'm extremely passionate about this.
And your background, family connections.
हाँ, वो सब क्या है, मतलब I'm as passionate about early education. कोई मतलब उसमें तो family है नहीं. But it's just a thing of passion that irrespective of anything, I just enjoy doing it.
So what the first product you launched was essentially a underwear made of cellulose. Like
Yes.
the USP was cellulose that made it softer,
the USP is
more
soft.
water absorbent.
The USP is moisture absorbency. What's your expectation from your underwear? So the USP is comfort, right? Which is assisted. अगर softer है, तो obviously more comfortable है. The USP is comfort because अगर ज़्यादा moisture absorb कर रहा है, antibacterial है, तो and that's what you require from your basic underwear. And then also designs, यार, मतलब वो पुरानी जैसे पुटी, how the category was positioned, etc. That also had to change. Both how it looks and how it feels are two important characteristics. Differentiation build करने का try किया.
And what gave you the confidence to do it as a full-time thing? Did you see great response, or did you
हाँ यार, मतलब so the it's almost enigmatic, right? It was a core belief that the consumer would want. So even if my product did not work, I wouldn't have left the category. I would have tried something else because core belief ये था कि एक brand नहीं चला सकता category because consumer palette is different. मतलब हर आदमी को वो similar choice नहीं चाहिए होती. Black, blue, navy से भी आगे, and especially the younger sort of generation, especially 30 and below, digital sphere of influence is now global. Because they are not just following the Indian Bollywood sort of celebrities, which was the case when the previous set of brands were built. Picture, TV, यही एक influence करते थे. अब तो यार, the world's changed. The world's more demanding. And I believe that this change is inevitable. It's only going to double down. And therefore, the use case of another brand is stronger than ever in this category. And the brand needs to think about the consumer. ऐसा नहीं होता कि यार ये बेसिक आइटम है, उसको बेसिक डिजाइन में प्राइस पे लगाते जाओ. It's the first choice that you make every day. And the last garment that goes out, the functionality and appearance subconsciously play a fair amount. मतलब जैसे जैसे मतलब your ability to afford or pay increases, why will you settle for a mediocre product? मतलब साल में आपको 5 खरीदनी है, 1000 की जगह आपने 1000 1250 दे दिया, तो how does it matter? So 1000 वाला दे देगा.
Well, tell me some numbers that you saw which might have made you feel कि हाँ, let's do this full time. इसको धंधे की तरह.
Numbers, so no, I think it was consumer feedback. So my first consumer, Yogesh Kabra from Pune, he was about 55 at that point. Ordered some Paytm a black, navy and a lime green underwear. And तो मैंने कॉल किया, फिर मैं बोला सर कैसा लगा. I gave a little bit of my background, asked him to feedback. He loved it. उन्होंने अपने 2 लड़कों को दिया, 2 boys, दोनों के लिए immediately मंगाई. और हम रोज रात में चैट करते थे कि मेरे ये फ्रेंड ने ऑर्डर किया क्यों. So he started recommending in a low engagement category. And then I started to see this pattern repeat. So मेरे ऑफिस में ना, there was one girl about a year back, we were just having a discussion and she said, yeah, Yogesh, how do you get this confidence? I told her the only hack to confidence is success. Success automatically gives you confidence. Success doesn't mean in that मतलब वो larger than life way. Small experiment के successful है, confidence आता है. Jayesh bhai gave me confidence, was a success क्योंकि he was recommending, he was repeating, he was buying more, getting rid of the entire old underwear wardrobe using. That was a success. Gave me a lot of confidence. And multiple such words that were acquired digitally that I had no clue about. और ये सब जगह से हो रहा था, मतलब not just metro, non-metro, etc.
And what was it priced at? Like this first version?
It was always ₹200. Started $200.
And like, how did you turn that experiment into a full-time business? So you ran an experiment, you got these underwears listed on e-commerce.
Look, we started selling. We knew it's working. We saw ratings, reviews through the roof. Now the problem is, kisko aur kaise kare? How do we reach more consumer? And in the pursuit to reach more consumer, we built an entire machinery, which is digital. We are available in about 13,463 stores as of yesterday. And we're adding about 1,000 stores every month. So, yeah, problems, the product stick ho raha hai. And then the sawal hai ki how do you reach more people? Digital, non-digital. And then we started to build the business around what needs to be done to reach more consumers. And then there's obviously easier said than done, but her stage like अलग struggle था. Zero to 50 lakhs का अलग struggle था. 50 to 1 crore का अलग, 1 to 2 crore का अलग struggle. 2 to 5 अलग था. 5 to 10 अलग था. तो हर स्टेज पे स्ट्रगल अलग था. And I mean, it's been very common sense first. And also, I've been extremely lucky to get a support system of investors, family, friends that are continuously backing.
Okay, got it. Okay. Still, could you like help me understand the journey through some numbers?
I'm just thinking how much information is available in public. I still give you. I mean, at that time, we used to sell about 100 pieces in a month. मतलब दिन के 3 पीस बेचते, राइट? कभी कभी बिकता ही नहीं था. Today we sell about more than 500,000 pieces every month. मतलब 600,000 pieces every month. We are the second largest innerwear, premium innerwear brand in the country today.
What are the other brands? Like, what do you define as premium innerwear? Jockey would be premium innerwear.
Is premium, is luxury. So ये हमारे वाली category में भी. And by the way, all the brands that I've overtaken over these years in a short 4 years are legacy, who have a lot of years of legacy working for them. 20 साल 25 साल इंटरनेशनल ब्रांड नेम्स. हम तो कौन थे बॉस? मतलब it's just been that belief and the consumer love.
Like underwear जैसा product probably offline will be much larger than online. So have you gone offline so far? You started with online.
हाँ नहीं यार, हम बना जिसके लिए रहे थे वो 90% consumer was sitting offline. I went offline when going offline was not sexy, because we were following the consumer, and that was very clear. मतलब वो तो कोई अगर after straight away downing a bottle of tequila, also read Page Industries runs the Jockey franchise, on books, 95% of the revenue came from offline, which is the largest brand, right? Laptop. I just start. For 95% of reviews consumers were shopping offline. अब हमने वही सिंपल अरिथमेटिक लगाई, प्रोडक्ट मिल गया है, कंज्यूमर का बिलीव डिजिटल इज गोना ड्राइव हाई ग्रोथ. तो इतना डिजिटल ग्रो हो सकता है, वैसे 20% हो जाएगा. 80% ऑडियंस फिर भी ऑफलाइन बैठने वाली थी. सबसे लाइफ पर टफ काम है अच्छा प्रोडक्ट मिल. अगर अच्छा प्रोडक्ट मिल गया है तो उसमें कोई समझदारी नहीं है कि आप बोलो तो डिजिटल ही रहे. And then there is the venture capital ecosystem. So I'll tell you, I'm a very average person, nothing out of the ordinary, but extremely lucky. So I got a extremely good first check as Toss and Anu Chandra. I was very averse to raising capital because I didn't know what that brought. And since I didn't need the capital, I was like, ज़रूरत नहीं है तो क्यों? But then I met Manu, who I think is one of the best investors I've ever met. And then, so yeah, वो तो मैंने select नहीं किया था. And then he was also evaluating the category. And that sort of partnership obviously changed the trajectory of our growth, of our ambition. So episodes like that, yeah, extremely lucky to get a family. There was patient, and obviously for me to start something 0 to 1 is a big opportunity cost because I'm already leaving something behind. I did not have to compulsory go 0 to 1. Because I'd already done 0 to 1 in my previous sort of pre-MBA days. And to leave that, come here with multiple people, extremely lucky with people. My co-founder, by the way, me and Sid, my co-founder, we met on LinkedIn. Extremely lucky early decisions. But my belief is they keep making them. Some stick, some don't. The essence is to keep at it and not over intellectualize. You can't over intellectualize things. You can just be at it.
Tell me how, once you got that first check, how did things change after that? Had you already gone offline before that, or how did you use that money?
So we had it. We wanted to. We wanted to. And it was one of the key discussion points between me and Manu. He also at that point believed that offline ही बनने वाला है. And we built this. हमने build करना चालू किया. A lot of our money went into it. And then there was COVID. So Sid comes in from a very strong offline background. मतलब ISB से वो गया मथुरा में आजनसोली चलाया फिर VH सब उसने ऑफलाइन ही किया था. That's why he came. And I put it with all due credit to his analytical rigor. I think he got onto the online journey within a couple of months. और उसने उधर फोड़ दिया. We grew quite a bit during the COVID sort of phase.
Sitting at home would have also.
I think more than that, खरीदने के लिए आपके पास opportunity, मतलब people were scared to go out to shop for non-essential. People went on to Amazon. People went on to, and a lot of brands were digital necessitated in that sort of unfortunate phase. But look, I mean, we've been on the lucky side again because if I were not getting married, function in your. If you were a travel company, luggage company, those were tough times. But luckily, we were on the right side. Category consumption increased because we were very dominant online.
And
उसके बाद लॉकडाउन खुला. मम्मी तक ऑफलाइन थे हम तभी भी, but बिक नहीं रहा था ऑफलाइन because we didn't want our boys to go out and sell. And then offline खुला, and the last 1 year has been our offline growth journey. बस मतलब निकाल दिया है. That's it's not easy to scale offline. Requires a lot of discipline, a lot of teamwork, a lot of operational excellence, loosely using excellence, but operational sort of leverage and how to use that to face offline. आसान नहीं है, but we've been able to demonstrate that.
What is your split offline versus online?
Yeah, so 65% is up.
Wow.
Okay. This, by the way, is when we are the second largest in our brand on Flipkart.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. Okay. And offline, like, how do you build offline in this category? Do you go to like a super stockist or वो चीज क्या है? Go to
two models.
dealers,
So super
wholesalers,
stockist वाला तो बहुत पुराना मॉडल है. वो नहीं होता है. Now we control everything is very data oriented, etc.
Okay.
So we have distributors in each city, distributors suppliers to the retailers are operated by our Fetal Street. So we exactly know it's a tricky channel. Since
your Fetal Street are responsible to make sure कि वो display ठीक से और drive sales, stuff like that. Okay.
Display is also a function of marketing team, but again, then that's offline marketing team. So yeah, that's how the offline animal works.
Okay. How did you do the branding and packaging of it? Tell me about that. Like, why the name XYXS, XYXX? What does the packaging look like? Tell me about that part of it.
Yeah, look, our brand is positioned for a 28-year-old upwardly mobile, fully aware digital consumer. So everything has to be more relevant for this person. So we can't, it starts from the brief on making a product till delivering the experience. सब चीजें 2x persona के लिए बना है. So everything has to be relevant to the TG that's exposed to multiple brands across categories. The experience of consumer brand is only going up with every brand coming into the ecosystem. So a lot of consumer work, a lot of starts with the realization कि बस कुछ भी नहीं चलता. And then how do you sort of continuously scale consistency and delivery of a good experience across touch points? So I don't think we treat packaging any differently than product. Then the thought is the same. And then what is different renditions of that thought? The thought is essentially the brand. If you look at our KL Rahul campaign that we did, which basically was a hugely successful campaign, and the ask was key was believe and trust your instinct, play your way. Which in the category, everyone is masculinity, underwear pehne to aap cheetah ban jaoge, you will get. So it's always about peak performance. That's the category narrative. We got away from the category narrative. And product innovation is the key sort of lever. Trust your instinct as an emotional sort of attribute is a key lever. Look, I think the two things that a lot of Gyanis exist in the digital ecosystem is brand and culture. है ना, मतलब बॉस इतने लोगों के पास इतना ज्ञान है ना, एंड आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड इतना ज्ञान आता कहाँ से. या ये लोग everyone's reading through the same sort of articles or textbooks. But think about it, right? What is the most important test of brand and culture? It is time. Brand has to stand the test of time. Culture has to stand the test of. तभी तो वो culture हुआ. मतलब अब brand बना क्यों रहे? Because of that infinite time leverage that brand gives. Because of the same with culture. मतलब culture change नहीं होगा. And it takes time to build a culture. Just by having a fancy work from home policy doesn't, मतलब 3 साल में कोई क्या कल्चर और कोई क्या ब्रांड बना लेगा, मुझे बात बता. 10 साल लगेंगे, 15 साल लगेंगे एक सॉलिड डेमोन्स्ट्रेबल कल्चर और ब्रांड बनाने के लिए. सो वी आर वेरी अर्ली एंड आई डोंट लाइक टू टॉक अबाउट इट एज वेल, क्योंकि दिस हैज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग हैज टू लिव फॉर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. एंड वी इतने छोटे थे, जस्ट एट द वेरी बिगिनिंग. और इसमें मैं अगर आपको यार बोलूं कि मुझे ब्रांड पता है, मुझे कल्चर पता है, तो किसको वो बना रहा हूँ. I hope I get to do a podcast with you in 15 years and I'm able to back
Right.
on it.
Today is all common sense driven. Yeah, got it. Okay. So, what's your customer acquisition strategy like? And I'm sure वो offline के लिए अलग होगी, online के लिए अलग होगी.
हाँ यार, मतलब see, the strategy is every channel has a method in which the channel works. Amazon works very differently compared to store works very differently compared to Reliance Trends. सबके अलग customers है, सबके अलग product requirement है, सबके अलग acquisition. अब आज large format store में जा रहे हो आप, तो क्या acquisition? What's the acquisition strategy? Build a brand. The stores will come. Versus with Amazon, you have to spend on performance ads. Versus with GT, you have to be available at the right price point, distribution, fill rate, feet on street. But there's the cheapest one size fit all तरीका नहीं. 0 to 1 crore पे अलग acquisition strategy चलती है जब पैसा नहीं होता. जैसे जैसे आप फंड रेज कर रहे हो, वैसे वैसे आपकी acquisition strategy goes from the lower hanging, which eventually becomes super expensive performance marketing, to brand, to distribution. It depends on what stage are you at. Do you think Jockey's acquisition strategy is the same as me, or someone much smaller than us would have a similar? No. Really depends on product क्या है, price क्या है, कहाँ available हो, किसके लिए बना रहे हो. And acquisition, a lot of places, right, and a lot of revenue streams is inexpensive. In a lot of other digital type में CAC बहुत महंगा होता है. CACs through the roof.
You do stuff like, say, influencer marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do. But we don't do influencer to acquire consumer. We do influencer to build a brand narrative. Associate with the right people who we try to not or minimum or do that with influence. I think influence is a brilliant opportunity to build a more narrative than
Okay, got it.
we do all of that. Marketing mix में जितनी चीजें हैं, we also do ATL. I mean, we also do outdoors. Cool. Everything is in the mix, but depending on the business case, the mix moves. Also the budget.
Yeah, it's
Something important.
Tell me about the funding journey after that round with Manu Chandra. Like that was like a seed round.
And we got BAG on the next round, which is again in amazing consumer brand investors, very patient. Again, nasib, but again luck. And then the last round we just closed, which will be announced by the time this goes live. And Singularity Growth led that round with participation from every single angel and fund. Every single. So existing backers mean a lot to us, ones participating, even the smaller angels, ones doubling down. So the last round was about 5 odd million, 30 odd crores. This one is about 85 odd crores.
About 12, 13 million. Okay, amazing. And what do you want to use these funds for? Like spending on marketing?
Yeah, I was spending on creating more brand awareness, hiring the best quality talent, or making enough mal. And we have a very experimentation driven culture. So we always have some side projects that we like to explore. A little bit to go there, but most of it would be towards brand team management.
Okay. So you started with the underwear. What is the number of SKUs you have now? Tell me about that.
You'll be surprised. We have 65 SKUs that bring about 80% of our revenue.
Wow. Okay.
And a total of 120 orders. So very lean.
And
but very lean. Still very lean for our size.
The theme is similar to Jockey. Say Jockey has underwear, then vest, and then t-shirts, and then shorts and night
We're doing
suits.
something very different now. We're launching kids innerwear, boys and girls. So I don't think that. I think the biggest mistake that we could make is benchmark Jockey, because what worked for them will not work for us. We have to do things different. So a lot of people try to benchmark it. अरे क्या आप नेक्स्ट जॉकी बना रहे हो, क्या आप नेक्स्ट यूनिक्लो बना रहे हो? बॉस, अगर कोई ट्राई भी करे ना नेक्स्ट जॉकी बनाने की, वो नहीं बना पाएगा. कोई ट्राई भी करे कि कोई नेक्स्ट यूनिक्लो बनाए, वो नहीं बना पाएगा. मतलब यूएस में कम से कम 100 लोग यूनिक्लो बनाने की ट्राई कर चुके हैं, कोई सक्सेस ऐसे नहीं होता. आई मीन fair enough, I get it, because अब आप बोल रहे हैं तो रेफरेंसिंग के लिए जॉकी एक आसान बेंचमार्क हो जाता है, एग्जांपल हो जाता है. But I was trying to build that, we not. I was trying to build that. We are trying to build XY. And I think all entrepreneurs, हमारी अलग जर्नी होगी. It's unfair to benchmark against a particular brand. क्योंकि अगर वो बना रहा हूँ ना, तो कभी उसको बीट तो कर ही नहीं पाऊंगा. और मैं बना रहा हूँ at some point the number one innerwear brand, and to build that I will not be able to beat them on their own game. वो बहुत क्लियर है, हम वो नहीं बना. हमारी जर्नी अलग है. आई डोंट नो, अभी मतलब इट्स ऑलवेज इजियर इन हाइंडसाइट ना. हमारे पास कुछ प्रिंसिपल्स टू नेविगेट हैं, through which we sort of some lenses through which we look at what we're doing, and consumer product innovation, design, etc. are some of those lenses. Culture or brand, हम 15 साल बाद बात करने वाले. Again, philosophically, our guiding input metric different, and what we see is out.
Okay. Got it. Okay. How big can XYX get? What is the opportunity here, market
और
opportunity?
देखो मेरे को ना एक बहुत सक्सेसफुल इन्वेस्टर ने एक दिन, by the way they didn't invest in us, बोला था ambition works like concentric circle. पहले एक आता है, फिर उसके बाद जो में एक दूसरा बड़ा आता है, and it doesn't stop. The ambition is to build the number one brand in the category.
But how big will is the category and
in revenue? I think it has the potential to be $1 billion in revenue. But यार देखो कैसा है ना यार, आज मैं अगर आपको ये बात बोलूंगा, वो बोलेगा कि आप क्या बातें बोल रहे हैं, राइट? कैटेगरी उतने बड़ी नहीं है. बट लुक, माय होराइजन इज 20 years. I don't think like people consuming media कि ये 2 साल में हो जाएगा, 5 साल में हो जाएगा. I'm very patient, will be honest to the category. And if you have to permanently believe in the India story, तो $1 billion तो बनेगा ही बनेगा. But हाँ, time it doesn't work like 350.
how did you learn people management? You're pretty young and it's not like you've had a lot of
और
experience.
I'm old for the startup community है, मतलब I'm 32. I have a 19-month-old daughter. मतलब almost बुढ़ा consider करते हैं यार. I'm probably one of the older guys in office. But look, people management has been, again, वो मेरा nature. I mean, I take ownership. I take ownership of everyone that we hire, and we do it with sincerity. We have certain sort of cultural guidelines. We don't try. We try to be very honest to what we are trying to build. Well, probably someone else would be a better person. Someone who's worked with me could probably give you a better answer. To me, to my mind, I treat everyone like how I like to. And by the way, that applies for mistakes. For example, यार किसी ने गलती कर दी, I always go back and say क्या मैं ये गलती कर सकता था, and 100% of the time is मैं भी ये उसकी जगह होता तो वो करता, and I treat it very different. मैं बोलता हूँ कि बस चलो आगे बढ़ो, मैं होता तो मुझसे भी होता, या कोई और होता तो उससे. These are errors that people who work make. Then there are certain type of errors that are a big red flag for me, which are discipline issue, which is laziness. कि यार वो ध्यान देता तो हो जाता, उससे ध्यान नहीं दिया. And I fire very quickly. One of my core skill set is to figure out cancer at stage 1. And I sort of fire extremely quickly. Core part of my job as the CEO. And also I get the liberty to pick with people I like to work. So I use it with a fair balance.
Got it. Okay. What's your advice to people who are like thinking of starting up?
बॉस, सबसे पहला एडवाइस है कि मेरे जैसे लोगों से ज्ञान मत लो. No, I'll tell you why. We all speak from our biases. मेरे को, my dad did send me to one of his friends, really successful business person, and he told me you'll never be successful, you'll never be able to get job. And by the way, he didn't think of, he was coming from a very nice place. He wanted a more secure future for me. And he was really worried for me. उसके लिए उन्होंने वो. But as a founder, there are certain things that you see which no one else has seen. And that is why you get rewarded, because you see it differently. And don't ask a lot of people. play your way. I think हम क्या है वो गलती कर देते हैं कि यार योगेश ने पहले बनाया है तो उसको पता और सबकी जो you are looking at it from a very different angle than Yogesh ever could. I looked at the category from a very different angle, which a lot of people didn't believe. So the first thing was don't let the market determine. Market believes market will always take you closer to average. That's the nature of market. The second thing is I find a lot of people that try to solve it in their thesis. A lot of people try to solve it with a pen and a paper. Life ना बहुत अलग तरीके से work करती है. And it's more about taking an attempt than about being successful. That is an outcome. वो अगर आप लेते रहोगे तो अपने आप हो जाओगे. And first principle, common sense. इतना ज़्यादा, that's what I tell everyone in our teams as well. Let's just do. Let's just keep doing, keep learning. And as a result, because I know I'm going to do 10 things versus a normal versus someone who's going to do 5 things, हम क्या करते हैं? हम 10 चीज सस्ते में करते हैं. So that we're not making expensive mistakes. We try to do a jugaad so that we're not spending too much on our experiments.
Basically, you follow that MVP approach, basically.
Yeah, सब तो MVP, you can say that, but I think over engineer नहीं करना is a key. And जो ज़्यादा ये पॉडकास्ट सुनते हैं, ज़्यादा एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप पे किताब पढ़ते हैं, मैं उनसे मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है कि बॉस इंक्लूडिंग ये पॉडकास्ट अभी आप बंद करो और
ट्राई करो,
एग्जीक्यूट करो. I will change it. चलो देखो क्या होगा, पता चलेगा. Eventually we're building for the consumer. हाँ, but यार ये theories भी ना थोड़ी, how do I say? For example, if you scroll through LinkedIn, I don't know आपके मतलब every person is giving the same ज्ञान, right? मतलब सब वही BS कर रहे हैं. तो that BS is, it is BS for a reason. ये सब चीज छोड़ो और काम करो, धंधे पे फोकस करो. And that's my simple sort of message to anyone who's trying to build. Focus on the consumer, focus on the business, you'll figure it out, don't worry. And optimism is probably the single most important quality that a founder needs to have, more than analytics, more than सब बॉस रोज सुबह उठ के मेरे को पता है $1 billion बनेगा. That is why I'm running. And that optimism helps you navigate more than any other aptitude, more than any other tangible skill set. It's eventually it's your mind.
And that brings us to the end of this conversation. I want to ask you for a favor now. Did you like listening to this show? I'd love to hear your feedback about it. Do you have your own startup ideas? I'd love to hear them. Do you have questions for any of the guests that you heard about in this show? I'd love to get your questions and pass them on to the guests. Write to me at ad@thepodium.in. That's ad@thepodium.in.